Hello everyone and welcome to You've Got to Have Art. This is the show that looks at the art scene in Milton and beyond. And in today's show, it's all about something that's happening in Milton that's very exciting. I'm your host, Jeff Stoodt. Wikipedia describes her music as alternating between ironic, story-driven character studies and emotive ballads, a duality that's reminiscent of such songwriters as Warren Zevon, Harry Nilsson, Loudon Wainwright III, Harry Chapin, and Randy Newman. I'm speaking of Jill Sobule, and she's soon to appear at the Milton Arts Center on the evening of Celebrate Milton Day, Sunday, October the 5th. Jill has been a well-known musician for nearly 20 years, ever since she scored a hit with I Kissed a Girl, not to be confused with a Katy Perry song. Her most recent work, Dottie's Charms, won immediate attention in the New York Times last April. It's the subject of the following interview, which also appears on the Huffington Post website.
The perks of running a live streaming network is being able to bring on people whose work you admire, and that's what's going to happen right now. Jill Sobule is one of my favorite singer-songwriters and also happens to be one of my favorite people, and she has a terrific new album called Dottie's Charms that has a very interesting backstory, including the fact that she invited a disparate collection of writers to help create it. And I'm thrilled to have Jill here to talk about it, along with two of the writers she collaborated with, David, hey dude, yeah, and
James Marcus.
James Marcus, I know, I was laughing, I was going to get his credits, but I got to go back, got to get his credits. Yes, music critic for The New Republic and also a professor at Columbia University, and James Marcus, who is, among other things, executive editor at Harper's. Guys, thanks for joining me and us here. Now, Jill, the inspiration for this album, how did it come about? I know there's a little talisman here that may be part of the story.
Yes, a friend of mine, Mary Kate O'Neill, I'll give her,
Yeah.
She needs all the help she can. Here we have, for some reason, she got me, for my birthday, a charm bracelet, a vintage charm bracelet. It looks like it's from the 50s, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, so it's got about, what, 20 charms on it, okay.
And it was curious to get a charm bracelet. I mean, there's something almost kind of odd and semi-ghoulish about it, wearing someone's charm bracelet. It's not like a coat. I mean, here's someone's story here on this chain. And so for the first couple years, I kind of just threw it away. And you didn't want to throw it away because that's bad karma, you know, a gift in case they come and want to see it again, too. Yeah. So I took it out, and I started being really interested and semi-obsessed with who is this woman? It's not like my grandmother had one where it just had a few charms, like the grandkids' names, and this, you know, ugly kind of costume, jewelry, gold. It was great in its own self. But this one told, with the 20 charms, a lot of clues and told a lot of stories. Now, Dottie, we know her name is Dorothy because there's we call her Dottie, but there's a Dorothy charm here. She was Jewish. There's a mezuzah. She played piano. She liked standard poodles. She went on a lot of trips, but they were never fancy. There was like Mackinac Island, Kentucky. There's a Statue of Liberty. She was a working woman because there's American, what is it?
American Businesswomen's Association.
And there's a swivel chair. So she was probably a secretary. And so then, to back up with James,
I'm David.
David, no.
So at least it wasn't only my fault, so we could get the whole thing happening. She's your collaborator here.
My friend James, we've been friends, and we collaborated. You gave me a couple songs to put music to, and very talented writer, and but known for writing books as opposed to lyrics. And we talked about how wouldn't it be interesting to have a project where I could collaborate with some of my favorite writers. Like they would give me a lyric and I put music to it. So I'm gonna hand it off to you now.
So, Dave, was there like a light bulb moment? Because you've been talking about working.
We went to see a show. We went to see Fred Hirsch, and we were wandering around thinking of an idea, and we got this idea, and we literally stopped on the sidewalk. It just seemed so right. I mean, it's an interesting experiment. We have this material evidence of a life, but it poses lots of questions and mysteries that creative people, might have fun dealing with, trying to reconstruct the life from the evidence of this charm. So we thought we'd go to a number of writers, and it has a lot of assets. Among them, that writers are nerds, and here's a chance, the opportunity to write a song. It's like a cool potion, So we made a list of writers we admired, and you call them, and it's like saying, "Oh, you're a nerd. If you'd like to be cool, if you'd like to be cool, you could write a song, and it would be on an album."
Everyone wants to write a song.
Well, I mean, James, as a writer, I think I've always thought the gift that I don't have music, but a song. I mean, even if you have written one of the great books ever, how many times do you read even the greatest novel ever? Twice, maybe, right? Yeah. Once, likely, if you get to that.
Right.
But a song we play over and over and over again, and that great Springsteen lyric, we learn more from a 3-minute record, baby, than we ever learned in school. It stays with you, and it affects you in a different way.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think David is right that there's this lust for just a crumb of stardom. And certainly every writer of my generation wanted to be a rock star in a way, and that just doesn't go away. So, every single writer who was approached, and again, these people were not paid anything up front. It was just, would you like the privilege of, collaborating with Jill? Everybody jumped at it. Nobody said no. I mean, some people may have been tied up, but no one was not interested. And I think that the itch just doesn't go away.
You should say some of the writers we had.
Let's see, Jonathan Lethem did one, Sam Lipsyte did one, Mary Jo Salter, Rick Moody, Luke Sant. I mean, these are really, they're blue chip writers. And it was amazing to have them all just leap on board.
And what's interesting for me is what you guys do. I mean, for me, anyone that writes more than 800 characters, I'm in awe of, being like, so for me, to be with some of these people I've spent a lot of time reading, I'm in awe of that.
I love the idea, I'm very interested in the creative process and how we get to these ideas. The idea of creativity in a box, right? If I said, write me a song about anything, it kind of becomes, but if I say, here's a charm,
right.
Immediately it gives you that. So can you talk about how restriction somehow leads to the freedom?
Well, there's just enough structure in this project. We're imagining a life, we have some evidence, and yet there's lots of freedom too. So it's kind of in the sweet spot for a project like that. There's enough evidence here that suggests a person of a certain kind that we're all free to imagine her life. And then as James said, there's this tremendous advantage for writers of having no commercial potential whatsoever for the project. So we're doing it for free. Tell a writer there's no compensation. It's like, I'm there.
You do what you want.
I'm there, and then it would be released on a CD. It's like, now it gets
vinyl.
Really interesting, and then a vinyl LP of a limited edition. It's like, now, that's for me, So, we crave marginality and irrelevance, and this is a guarantee.
Well, except for now. HuffPo's Live.
That's right.
But no, because long-playing vinyl concept records, all the kids are rushing to get that.
Yeah.
I hear.
Well, it's an interesting thing, though, like you say about albums. Somebody was reviewing Coachella, and they were saying the audience just seemed to want the hit. There was no sense of arc. There was no sense of narrative. Do you find that now with your work that to do an album like California Days, years there's a whole feeling to that of you and a movement and narrative and going to San Francisco and going out to Palm Springs. Is that exist anymore?
Well, I'll tell you the freedom of being older and knowing that I'll probably never have a top 10 pop hit again is it does give you the freedom to do kind of whatever the fuck you want, and also because I didn't have such success like the other Kissed a Girl that I'm still hungry, so I still want to learn and experiment and grow and collaborate with people that will help me do that. So I think that Dottie's Charms was just such a, it took a while.
Yeah, 4 years.
4 years.
4 years.
In the hunger, there you are, singing away. In the hunger, would you like to have another supermodel? I mean, would you like to have a hit? Do you think about
Well, yeah.
What a stupid question. Do I want to breathe?
But I'm still one of those that has always been my entire life of that kind of commercial versus want to be arty kind of thing, and it's probably been to my detriment, and I still kind of have that. So I've never really worked on a song to say, this is what the sound is right now, where I'm gonna be. It doesn't motivate me, and maybe it should motivate me more, and maybe the next record I'm gonna be, you know.
Just that is going to be the entire goal.
Commercial
It's
record.
just gonna be,
Well, no, your work has never been corrupted by that craving. I mean, you do what you do, and sometimes it sells very well, you know, and sometimes it sells well, you know, well.
But purity is a heavy burden, Jill. Your cross to bear. And
Now, when you were helping her lug the cross, what was sort of your process? Did you say, did it start with character? Did it start with narrative? Did it start with theme?
You know, I would say two things, and I thought of this before when we were discussing the unity of an album, which is not such a common thing in pop music anymore, that the different lyricists did not have any contact with each other, except for David and I talking every day about the project. But and yet, despite that, everybody seemed to come up with a similar personality, a similar sort of slightly morose, you know, appealing, a woman traveling about, being dumped, you know, with some regularity in her personal relationships. And so everyone kind of psychically came up with the same personality, which is kind of wild and does give the album some unity. But as far as the process, you know, everybody who had any even minimal musical talent, Jill invited to submit a musical demo as well as the lyrics. So I just ran right to my laptop and, you know, whipped something up and sent it to Jill, and she very wisely threw out immediately every musical idea, but she kept the lyrics and had this beautiful sort of Burt Bacharach-ish melody of her own. And I was just blown away by the way she seemed to pull these things out of the air. I think with Rick Moody's demo, you used a little more of his musical impetus there.
He was the one that really had more of a music thing
than
anyone, I think.
I mean, he just sort of sat and sang it a cappella.
Right.
Some kind of very low-tech 8-track deck, it sounded like.
Sort of like the Michael Jackson of writers. Not a musician would just do every track.
Moody is something of a musician as well, but I think in most cases, though, Jill got the lyrics, you know, with minimal hindrance musically from the writers, and just matched them with these, you know, fantastic sort of musical ideas. And I mean, the process was fascinating to observe, and I know David.
Well, we had a slightly different experience in that I play a little guitar and some piano, so Jill invited me to write with her on the guitar, so we would write the music together, and we did that by Skype. So I was sitting in my office with a guitar, and she's on screen with a guitar, and I felt like sort of like we're John and Paul, like in John's bedroom, and we wrote the whole song that way. And Jill demoed it up, and you know, I was thrilled. To me, this was like heaven, like a dream fulfilled. And then I guess 6 months later or something, I got an email from her that she has another demo of it. I played that, and she had completely thrown out everything that I had done. Like, started from scratch, wrote completely new music, and it shows her wisdom.
Was there some deep pain at the moment, or?
No, I was right. Mine is better.
So there'll be a director's cut.
There will be.
Who was the cute Beatle?
Oh, that's a tough question.
James.
Wow.
James.
So Jill, how did you find the working with well, you guys have written songs, but in general, not really established songwriters? Was it difficult? Did they come in with like too many words? Was
some of them were, verbose. Verbose. But you guys were the exceptions, because these people, plus you know, big music lovers and have, you know, reviewed
music critic.
So there was the form of, there was a traditional form of verses and a chorus and a bridge, and also knowing the kind of meter and cadence. So I didn't have to edit things for that. So these guys, it was the lyrics were pretty on. There were other people where I had to figure out how to make it a song form. Great words. For instance, there was no chorus, so I would take a couple lines and I would repeat them over, like Flight, which was a great lyric. There were times I'd have to take out thes, take out syllables because it just didn't seem to fit. But these were kind of, they were kind of minor things. There was a little jigsaw puzzling going on, but not that much, not that much.
I find it amazing that it does have a unifying kind of feel to it.
Oh, completely.
Although I guess that's how it works in Nashville, right? People are submitting different songwriters are submitting different songs for an artist.
Well, also, we went to people who we thought shared our sensibility.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't go to Thomas Pynchon, even though, we're pals and we play
What would that have been like? The Thomas
together,
Pynchon's, yeah.
Fly fishing
Well,
together.
he writes lyrics in his books. He also often has like faux lyrics.
Yeah.
So does Don DeLillo. But we all went to admire. We went only to writers who we admire, who we thought had a musical sensibility, and we felt a kind of kinship with, even if we had never met them. Like Rick Moody, I had no contact with Rick Moody ever. Wrote him an email. He said, "Well, that sounds cool, sure." But we knew he was sort of like one of us,
Right.
like us.
Not pertaining to Dottie's Charms, but you've written a lot of songs that have a political and a social angle. That was such a thing for so long, looking back in the 30s, what he got through in the 40s, and then the 60s. Is that disappeared?
Well, I still do it. I still, I can't help myself. Interesting you mentioned that, because this is something I didn't know that I discovered last night from David, and he sent me this. I didn't know that in the 60s, was it that there were right-wing protest singers.
Yeah.
Wait, you've never heard of the John Birch Trio? Oh my God, fantastic! The harmonies.
Are they coming? Bring them on.
Come on, boys. And I guess Bundy is now singing their songs in their tradition. You've got a Bundy song in you, I'm sure, right?
Oh, I adored that whole thing.
Yeah, it was pretty fantastic.
With Hannity and him and the whole,
Yeah.
that just was so great. But he brought me, there was a double album of actual, there was the right-winger Joan Baez.
Right. Janet Green, the right-wing Joan Baez, and there was a band called the Goldwaters.
Serious.
But a serious
Real
band
called
Yeah.
the Goldwaters.
Not a Spinal Tap-ish thing,
Right,
but actual straight-faced.
But there's that fine line between parody and
yeah.
You know what's interesting is I was saying to these guys, I mean, this is an interesting thing, is why, I mean, can you name really amazing right-wing musicians? I mean, and not songwriters. I mean, you could say that, but that do protest. You could say, like, I am a fan of some, Southern rock. Like, I had that Skinner record, and you listen to it now, and it's kind of great.
Yeah.
But I meant that are really like right-wing protest singers. Why they kind of.
There's an interesting
There's
question about
Nuge,
art.
the Nuge.
And how does that fit in?
What do you guys
I
think?
think that's your calling, and that could be your mission from this point on.
Tea Party Nightingale.
Right.
James, is there a Harper's article in this, perhaps?
Yeah, I'll be taking some notes when I get back to the office. Yeah.
So before we wrap up, though, we have a bit of a mystery.
Yes. This is really true.
Which is actually...
What do you want to say also? It's going to, on Harper.
Oh, I should mention, we're actually doing a launch of the record probably right around May 1st on the Harper's website. So visitors will be able to stream all of the songs. This is prior to the release of the actual CD. We will also have some films that were made exclusively for the launch.
Amazing video.
And
amazing.
Molly Crabapple, who did the album illustration, has also done illustrations for some of the songs. So it's kind of a full multimedia blowout that will be on the Harper's website probably on May 1st. So.
And there was no record label with this. This is, well, actually, it's on Pinko Records.
Pinko Records.
That's my record company.
That's who the Birch Trio is with. So go back to the...
So this is what I want this to go viral.
Do we have a close-up? Are we able to get that at all?
Do you want to hold? Would you like to hold it?
I'm afraid.
Yeah,
but
I'd like you to.
No, she wants it in your hands. My director is yelling at me, not in your hands, Roy. Jill has nicer nails.
Drop it, Roy.
Oh, I don't.
No, down a little bit. There you go. There you go. That is so this is the charm bracelet. And what you'd like to know is you're offering a cash money reward.
Mm-hmm.
If we can find out who Dottie was, what shitty grandchild gave it up, put it on eBay, I want to find out how close we were to Dottie, and I will offer $75.
Jill, that's insane. You know what people will do for $75? They'll be selling their mother to say that this is Dottie for $75. Okay, here's the thing. I'll kick in 25.
Dave?
So we got a solid C note for.
I'm in for another 5.
I don't know. C note plus 5, $105.
I'll do 45. Bring it up to around 150.
150. So HuffPost Live, if you users, readers, watchers know anything about the provenance of this fantastic
No,
charm
this is
bracelet.
even better, okay? If someone finds out and has proof,
Yeah.
I will write a song with their name on my next record.
Wow.
Immortality.
That beats 150.
Yeah, that's better than
And
150.
150.
Yeah.
Oh.
Immortality and 150.
And 150.
James, David, Jill, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on. We'll be sending people over to Harper's down in the resource well. We'll put a link to that. So thanks for joining. And don't forget to check out the new album, Dottie's Charms, which comes out
Is May 6th.
May 6th.
Vinyl?
And available on
And vinyl now because it was
Now.
out for Record Store Day.
Right, so it's
And,
on vinyl now. And in the meantime, keep watching HuffPost Live.
Jill Sobule has released 7 studio albums of original songs. She has been produced by such musical luminaries as Todd Rundgren and Don Was. She has toured with Lloyd Cole, Don Henley, Warren Zevon, and John Doe. She has done TED Talks and performed with comic Julia Sweeney. She is a darling of music critics and lovers of pop music with clever lyrics and empathetic sentiments. In the mid-90s, there was a small entree onto the pop scene of female singer-songwriters, such as Lisa Loeb, Jewel, Tori Amos, Julia Hatfield, and Alanis Morissette. With her hit, I Kissed a Girl, Jill Sobule also became part of the movement. Jill gets compared to Randy Newman because many of her songs are character-driven. She often adopts the point of view of the underdog. In fact, one of her CDs is titled Underdog Victorious. But she has also written and sung poignantly about her own life, exploring subjects such as her Jewish heritage and her adolescent battles with anorexia and depression. Her music has been featured on soundtracks for movies like Clueless, The Truth About Cats and Dogs, and Harriet the Spy. She has also written music for a stage version of Yentl. In 2009, Jill became one of the first artists to use crowdsourcing to finance production costs. Her album, California Years, describes her personal and professional experiences after she relocated from New York to Los Angeles. It's a terrific album with keen observations of life in the West. Now Jill arrives in Milton, on the heels of the critically acclaimed Dottie's Charms. The purpose of this show is to celebrate the arts in Milton. Rarely has Milton had a musical artist of Jill's stature performing in town. Attending her concert is a great way of celebrating the dawn of what the Milton Arts Center hopes will be a regular feature in Milton. Monthly concerts with artists of the same stature as someone like Jill Sobule. And why not? Located in East Milton Square right next to the post office, the Milton Arts Center is in its 3rd year as a nonprofit, and it's ready to take flight. The white square in the middle of the logo for the center symbolizes how central a place it can be to the renaissance that East Milton Square is gradually undergoing. Imagine East Milton Square bustling with diners before they head across the park to go to a show. Think about the excitement created when listeners from Milton and points beyond help fill the center. You've only traveled across town. They've come here from afar, from places like Boston and Newton. How satisfying. For tickets, visit the Milton Arts Center website, www.miltonartscenter.org. Tickets are $20 for a single show or $55 for all 3 shows in the series.